Hi guys, in today's video we'll be learning about namespaces. We'll be learning about how Visual Studio can help you keep your namespaces organized and how and when you should use a new namespace. So let's jump into Visual Studio and take a look. Before we begin, I just want to remind you that I'm doing a new C# video every day. So if you don't want to miss those, be sure to subscribe. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is create a new project. We will create a console app. And we'll select the .NET Framework C# version. And we'll call this one Namespaces. And so we're not really going to do too much coding today. We're just going to talk about how these namespaces work and how you should be using them. So what you'll have probably noticed is we've used these using statements before to pull in sort of different areas of the framework. And these are essentially all namespaces. So all of the objects in the framework are actually organized into namespaces, so it can help you find the different classes and objects that you're looking for. And you can do exactly the same thing with your code. And what you'll see is actually our project has created a namespace called Namespaces because that's what we've called our project. And actually, when you create a new class, for example, so let's just create a new class. We'll call this one Person. You can see that one also gets put into the namespace Namespaces because that's the name of our project. However, if we were to add a new folder, we'll call this one maybe models. And if we add a class in there, you'll see Visual Studio actually, what should we call this one? Let's call it test view model. You see Visual Studio then starts to append the folder name onto the namespace. So if we go back into our program, because we're already in the namespaces namespace, if we come in here and try and look at the test view model, it can't find it, and that's because we haven't imported the models namespace. So what we could say now is using namespaces, because that's the root namespace of our project, .models, and then you'll see it can now resolve that model. And this works sort of even deeper than that. We could have in here like specific folder, and we could add a new class in there. Just call it test. And then just like before, if we wanted to access that test model, so we just want to instantiate that test object, we don't have access to it. But there is a cool helper feature in Visual Studio which allows you to pull in a namespace if Visual Studio is able to guess which namespace is required. So what you can do is actually right click and then click Quick Actions and Refactorings, and what this essentially does is it looks through your entire project, tries to find a class named test. If it finds it, then it'll give you the option to pull in the namespace that's required. So we'll just click this one using namespaces.models.specific, because that's the right one. And you'll see what it's done is it's pulled in that namespace at the top automatically for you. So this is just a way that you can kind of organize all of the code in your project into sort of virtual code folders, essentially. So that when you're building and working on specific areas of your app, you can have all of the types and objects for that specific area of your program in their own namespace, and then you can use the using statement to import them only when you need them. So that's the basics of namespaces. We've already really been working with them the entire time, but they kind of disappear into the background. It's always helpful to organize your projects really well by having your classes in very specific folders, and then let Visual Studio take care of the namespaces for you. Hi, I hope you found that video useful. If you have any comments or feedback, then please leave me a comment below. I'm currently doing new videos every single day, so if you'd like to be notified about those, then hit that subscribe button, and I will see you in the next one.